In disability hearings across the country today, vocational experts routinely cite a specific job title to deny claims: the DOT occupation of marker, code 209.587-034. For claimants, this presents a severe legal hazard. VEs are weaponizing a fossilized job description that hides inside massive, modernized occupational datasets, projecting the illusion of available work where none exists. By understanding the physical realities of modern global supply chain logistics, legal representatives can map the exact points where the functional requirements of the marker have been technologically eliminated. Proving this physical obsolescence creates a direct conflict with the substantial evidence standard under SSR 24-3P. This forces the VE to reconcile their testimony with a global supply chain that has no functional room for the 1977 definition. To dismantle the marker job, we first have to look at its structural definition. The Dictionary of Occupational Titles, last updated in 1977, defines the essential function strictly. A marker marks and attaches price tickets. The DOT specifically requires the use of analog tools to perform this work. It dictates that the worker must use a marking pencil, rubber stamp, or stencil. This legal definition explicitly demands a manual, item-by-item workflow. A human worker had to physically pick up, visually identify, and individually stamp every single unit of inventory on the retail floor. In 1977, this labor-intensive process was the industry standard across retail sectors, including apparel, where workers manually fastened physical paper tags to individual garments. Therefore, the legal existence of the marker job is inextricably bound to manual, analog processes. If those processes no longer exist at scale, the job no longer exists. That 1977 definition fractures when exposed to 2026 economic reality. Today, 95% of the global retail economy is governed by GS1 Global Standards. The source tagging mandate requires product identification happen at the point of manufacture. Manufacturers combine a licensed prefix with product data to generate a GTIN barcode. This is integrated directly into the packaging design before shipping. It arrives completely shelf-ready. Modern logistics networks, including massive retailers like Walmart, Amazon, Target, and Kroger, outright refuse to accept shipments that fail to comply with this pre-barcoded standard. Source tagging subverts the DOT description entirely. Items arrive on the loading dock with their identity and pricing data structurally baked into the packaging. There is nothing left for a human to mark. To see how this eliminates manual counting, we trace these pre-barcoded pallets as they arrive in mass at a retail distribution center. Bulk receiving is now entirely automated. Pallets move through laser scanning gates at high speed, requiring zero manual sorting. The protocol driving this is the Serial Shipping Container Code. A single scan identifies every unit within the pallet, instantly logging thousands of items into the central database. This electronic data interchange instantly syncs inventory with the digital pricing system. Automated software and centralized database management have functionally replaced the manual marking of retail goods. The physical marking requirement has vanished. In its place is a digital handshake between manufacturer and retailer that occurs before the first worker touches a box. Vocational experts frequently attempt to bypass this reality by claiming that the apparel sector still requires human workers to manually attach price tags to clothing. The physical evidence proves otherwise. Modern garments are sourced and tagged at the factory level. Clothing arrives with integrated hang tags, or embedded RFID chips, securely attached by overseas manufacturers, entirely bypassing local retail workers. This chart shows a steep trajectory towards Sunrise 2027 standards, utilizing embedded 2D barcodes and RFID technology. RFID allows for instant batch scanning. An entire rack of clothing is digitally processed in seconds by a passing radio wave, untouched by human workers. When clothing goes on clearance, the price drop is updated once in the central POS system. No one is walking the floor with a price gun, manually restamping 5,000 shirts. The logistics jobs that do exist here, scanning racks, breaking down pallets, or stocking shelves, demand significantly higher physical exertion than the sedentary marker job implies. Even in labor-intensive apparel, the fundamental tools and manual tasks of the 1977 marker have been eradicated by radio frequencies and cloud databases. We can translate this technical supply chain data directly into a courtroom strategy. When a VE cites the marker job, You deploy the Incompatibility Objection. Trap the VE in the DOT definition. On the record, ask them to name a modern national retail chain that employs workers to manually stencil or rubber stamp prices. If they attempt a generalized answer, cut them off with the GS1 source tagging mandate. Ask the central functional question. If global standards mandate items arrive pre-barcoded by the factory, what specific marking is left for my client? This specific line of questioning corners the testimony. It forces the administrative law judge to recognize that the VE's intuition is entirely detached from objective global supply chain facts. VEs are making a blank check error. They extract job numbers for markers from massive, generalized, standard occupational classification groups, assuming the old job still exists somewhere inside that data. But those broad SOC groups, like stockers and order fillers, are saturated with high-tech logistics roles. If a claimant applied for a marker position at Walmart today, those manual tasks have been absorbed by mobile workers executing software. The Social Security Administration already acknowledges this technological drift. They formally flagged the job of document preparer as obsolete because the modern economy no longer uses microfilm. The legal parallel is exact. The marker is equally obsolete because manual rubber stamping in retail is just as dead as microfilm. This exposes an absurd 49-year gap between the VE's testimony and reality. By submitting the GS1 data into evidence, you dismantle the marker as a vocational fiction. Striking this ghost job from the record forces the disability decision to rest on the actual modern economy, not the economy of 1977.